All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is your Dire Bear DM, GM, depending on what sort of game you're playing. Heath here with Dire Bear Adventuring Company, bringing to you today options to make tools and maps. This is going to be all about making maps, whether it be randomly generated dungeons or creating worlds and things like that. And what I want to do is I want to get started with one of the first ones, and it's called Inkarnate. It is correct. It is inkarnate.com. That's inkarnate.com. And it is a world builder. It's free to sign up and use, and it allows you to build a world around your campaign. If any of you were watching last week, I showed them the world or the portion of the world of Kyreth with which they were in, and showed them Lanceport, Silverhaven, and of course Adalar on this beautifully generated map. And today I'm going to show you all how to create a map. So let's start with, every map starts off with this. It's just the water. So in the beginning there was no form of the earth, and this is where you come in. The first thing you want to do is set your grid tiles. How big do you want it to be? The size of this map is 64. The biggest it can go up to is 256. Yes, we are working in gradients of 8, so get used to that. I'm going to go back down to the default and just make this one at 64. So let me slide that back up. Now you don't have to work in multiples of 8 like you're dealing with RAM. You can actually make it 80, 100, whatever you want to. And really all it does is it looks at the focus size of the grids themselves and how large they are. Now, the next thing you want to do is look at your opacity. Now I've got my opacity set to 0, but you can actually increase it up higher than that, all the way up to 1. And as you can see, it's going to change the lines that you see. Here we have it hex, and here we have squares. I generally deal with squares, so because I play Dungeons & Dragons primarily, as well as Pathfinder and things like that, and it deals with squares. The other thing you have up here, along with the square, the opacity, the size, is you have the width. And this is the width of the grid lines, and as you can see, as I increase these, it's going to make it quite a bit larger. I'm going to keep them at 1 because I really don't want my width to be very large. Actually, I'm going to set them up a little bit so you can see, because the next thing is color. And you can change the color of the grid lines that you want. And as you can see, you can make it red, and then you can change your hues over here down into variants of other things. So let's say if you wanted them to be you know, blue instead, or green. But anyways, I'm going to leave them as black, and then you can have shadows on. There's a blur radius, and the color of the shadow, that's the white outline you see. You can actually, again, set that to black, and then you can have the blur set to nothing, or you can just turn the shadows off altogether. So we can do that right there, and that kind of turns them off altogether. Now we come back here and we're going to make our width 1, and now we have nice tight grid lines. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to actually look at making the landmass. One of the things that you might want to start off doing is, first of all, you're going to have to come up here to your tool. It looks like a shovel, because how else are you going to move large amounts of dirt but with a shovel? One of the things that we talk about whenever you're creating this is go ahead and setting up the general idea of the land mass that you want. Now again, you can set your circle up to that big, and as you can see in the middle of the screen, you can see the size of the circle that it's going to give you. We're going to come back to that in a minute, but for now let's go ahead and go back to our 64, and let's just start painting in some dirt. Now I'm going to make this map. Let's give ourselves a nice general line through here, and then we can come up through here, and let's give ourselves a bay over there, and let's give ourselves a bay over here, and not bay, B-A-E, bay, B-A-Y. I want to look at the land masses here. Why don't we give ourselves an island that's going to be down here, and we're going to hit that as well. That's cool. That'll work. Alright, so this is the start of our land masses. Now comes the refining part. What you're going to want to do is you're going to take this down to a very small size, 7, 6, 5, something like that. And then you can come through here and edit by adding Or the one that I like do is subtract. Subtract means you take away from the landmass. And what you do is you sharpen up the edges of your landmass. And I'm kind of going with Bob Ross's line of thought on this. You don't make mistakes, you make happy accidents. And if you end up tracing through and leaving like a huge gouge, oh man, I've got to come back and clear that up. Nah, man, all you've done is add shoals. You've added outlier islands to it. And it's no big deal. You can come back and take care of it if you want to, or you don't have to. And so we smooth out our island or our major landmass so it doesn't look quite like a weird dog. And again, I'm not really going to worry about cleaning those up too much because I'm more worried about sculpting the land than anything else. If you want to cut a huge swath through and make a larger bit of landmass, or a huge tract through there, you can absolutely do that. All you have to do is just change the size of your circle, and again, you can edit how it looks. And it's your world, so don't ever let anybody tell you that you're absolutely incorrect on making this. So there we go, and I am getting happy with that. All right. No landmass has straight lines as far as the ridges go, so I try not to make too many straight lines. I want it to look a bit jagged. And there's my major landmass created. And if you think, oh god, that looks weird, like I do, I think that big bulbous side of it looks kind of strange. So what I'm going to do is set the size of my thing there a little higher. And I'm going to come through and make it look a bit more jagged. So we're going to do that right there. Alright, and look at that, we just eliminated landmass. And now we're going to come back through and change the size, and we still have it on subtract, so we're going to make this a bit more tapered. I like that. I like that it leaves those little lines, because like I said, it reminds me of like Galveston and those things, with those little islands sitting in the bay. And it's cool. It adds a little cool effect to it. It doesn't make it look like the landmass is just one continuous line. So have fun with it. Alright, so now I've got my landmass made here. Let's go ahead and clean up my island. Yeah, I did that on not really purpose, but it is. And the reason that I'm focusing on this one is because it's one of the ones that has, like, as far as tools go, one of the most unique options for creating your land masses. And as far as like some of the icons, which we'll get into those in just a minute. And I'm actually going to carve this up a little bit. I want it to look carved up. And we're going to come through here and carve all that up. And now it looks like I've got islands, or these huge land masses within there, like I said, some shoals or something. Alright, so that's a little too smooth right there. I don't like that, so we're going to trim that, and we're going to trim some of that right there. And we're going to come around the bottom here and trim that. And again, like I said, no, it's not perfect, but it's a pretty good start. So I'm going to make my little dot a bit bigger here, because now I'm going to come through here and I'm going to carve up some of that, and I'm going to carve up some of that. Yeah, I like the way that looks. Alright, so there you go. You have the basis of your lands. Here's where I was talking about one of the cool things, is your brushes. So let's say we want all of this here to be this color. Watch this. There it is. Hit the button and it fills in, and it gives it this soft edge across the line that you made. So here I'm going to go ahead and brush some more. And here's a really neat thing. I'm going to make a space here. I'm going to leave a little bit of space between the two. See that little bit of space there? And watch. It comes and meets it. So now it looks like you've got this kind of other color in there. And because this only works on the landmass, it doesn't matter if you stay inside the lines. We can go back to being in the first grade again, and you can color all over this thing and make it look like that. And now it's all blended. Now, why would I want to do that? That's a good question. It's a basis. It's a good place for you to start. Then you can come back through here and grab, say, your land here. Let me close that again. And we're just going to do that right there. And now we've got a beach down here. And if we can come up along this side and take that and make it a beach as well. And here's the reason why we want to make a base, because then you can come in here and make your next one. And you come up and do this. And what you've done was you've kind of created, and you can change the size of this, which is what I'm going to do now. Maybe not that small. But I'm going to come through here and add these, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the elevation will work. And I don't have much of a darker one to go on, so that's what we're going to work with. And now we're going to add some stuff. We're going to add some mountains. So we're going to come down here to the pattern tool, and we're going to click on our pattern, and we already have mountains selected. And I'm going to put my mountains where my elevation change is. Now, if you're not happy with that, you notice those are kind of big. So let's hit select here and let's highlight, and then let's delete those. And what we're going to do is, I don't really like the way that looks, so let's swap some things around. Let's come back to my tool. Let's grab my land 4, and let's make this whole thing much bigger. And I'm not going to mess with anything to do with that, because as we know, most of the time when you look at things, your mountains are usually higher up, and that means there's going to be some elevation change and some ground change. So now we've got everything made up in grass, and let's go ahead and color our other island down here. Oh, why not? We're having fun. We're going to change the texture on this. We're going to make this darker, and we're going to change the size on it. We're going to make it much smaller. And then you can add that, and I'm going to add some of that right there, and that, and my mountains are going to curve around. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it even smaller, and I'm going to grab, let's grab this one, and let's come up through here, and let's come up through here. And as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm kind of setting myself up for some elevation, because next what we're going to do is we're going to come back and grab that pattern again, because this is your object tool, but your pattern tool, and I'm going to change the size of it. I'm going to change it down to as small as I can get it, which is 35. And now when I put those mountains on there, look at that. The mountains look like they kind of belong on that, right? And there you go. And look at that. Now we got some mountain ranges in there. Now this is just the free one. If you do want to purchase there's a license you can get for $25 a year that will allow you access to the pro one. It's on a private server, so I can't really show you guys right now, but they have these, and they have snow-capped mountains. They have different textures that we can use. So let's go back to our texture brush, and let's change this down here. Let's make these white beaches. White sandy beaches, and let's say that the elevation up in the northern part is much colder, so let's go ahead and give ourselves a line like that right there. You can make tundra by leaving yourselves like small, gashes of green through there, like a tundra would look. And the next thing you have is the object tool, and again you have different objects you can place. As you can see, you've got a capital city, so let's say we have a capital city that sits up here. And even though you've already set it, you can actually drag the size and change it, and you can actually change the rotation on it, change its position. You want it up on its head, that's fine. And then they also have things like a citadel, which we can put down here, and we can make it smaller. They have orc towns and outposts and all sorts of fun things to play with. But yeah, like I said, this one is free. But the utility itself that you can purchase their pro version of it, and it's only $25 a year, and well worth it. As you can see, you can do mountains, and then there are hills that you can add, and then there's also trees. And you notice not every mountain is the same, so it's not a complete cookie cutter mountain range. It's yeah, there are repeats in there, but for the most part, you know, it's pretty neat. It looks like, you know, each one of them is individual. And you don't have to drag. It's a single click. You want to put one tree right here in the middle of town, you just click and put the tree there. Or you can click there and put a tree. So forth and so on. They have pine trees, they have regular trees, and then they have dead trees. They have ruins that you can put when you go back up to the objects. You can put in some ruins, towns, and they have different kinds of towns. They've got a town that looks like this, and they've got a town that has a different type of cap to it. And they have smaller ones that are villages like this size. And as you can see, it doesn't take you very long to create, you know, a pretty decent map. And they have a lot of fun things that you can play with here. You can put a ship out there in the water, or if you want to, we had one on ours, a sea monster, and you can make your sea monster huge, and all of a sudden it's like, don't go over there. All right, so that is Inkarnate, and again, it's inkarnate.com, inkarnate.com. And now, one of the other things, and again, if you email their site, when you get to the site, inkarnate.com, you'll see that there is an option for the Pro if you email licensing at inkarnate.com. And again, it's a $25 a year license agreement, and you get access to snow-capped mountains, different towns. You can actually zoom in and look at smaller you know, smaller range. Like you can actually build a town, which earlier today, using Inkarnate Pro, I built Adalar once again to make it look good. But that's Inkarnate. I really suggest you guys get in there and play with it. It's super easy to use as far as it's concerned. It's one of my favorites as far as getting a map to look the way you want it to and still, you know, looking good. And easy to use. You don't have to be a pro at doing this. It's pretty intuitive once you start playing with it. The next one up we have is Tiamat. I want to talk about Tiamat for a second here. We're going to build a new map under my sign in there. Tiamat is actually a tile building program. So let's zoom out. You can resize the grid, and it starts with a 30 by 60. You can shrink it or make it larger. It is fantastic because it has 3,301 different tiles for you to use. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, I'll scroll through them at a rate of about 31 per turn, but you can see that there is just gobs of different tiles. There's a labyrinth set that you can actually connect and make an entire labyrinthine dungeon out of. As you go through, you'll see there's all sorts of different temples, and it's just as easy as click on the tile, set the tile on the map. Click on the tile, set the tile on the map. Ah, those don't match. Click on the tile again, and then just rotate it. Set the tile, click on it, rotate, rotate, click on it. Oop, it tells you, hey, that won't fit because I had them overlapping each other. Click on the tile, click on the rotate button, and look at that. You've built a ziggurat in no time flat. How do you like that? And again, like I said, you can just click on that to cut them all out of there. But there are just gobs of tiles. There is an entire tavern in here. There is an entire inn. There is a port that you can build. You want to build a harbor? That's fine. You've got it. Look, there's warehouse tiles in here. So if you want to build a warehouse, you can do that. There are all sorts of things. And what I really think is cool is there's a cave system with water. There's an old dungeon with water. There's even in here, there's a mine, like with mine card tracks. Here's a mausoleum. There's a blood, you know, a font with all this blood in it. Let's zoom in on that. Look at that. And then you have these off the side of it. And what's really neat is that this is the border of the wall right here. And you're like, oh, well, that's kind of odd. The neat thing is like that border doesn't touch, but if you rotate it, you've now made an additional room. And they've got so many of their tiles are so painstakingly done well that you can just easily find matching tile sets within the same group. And they don't even have to be matching. They have a lot of them that bleed over into one another, and it's fantastic to watch. So let's delete this. Let's go ahead and cut those, and let's cut these out here. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So a minute ago, I put one up, and it looks like, let's do this one right here. Bam. So this is a room, but let's say you wanted them to find this room as they walk through an old cave set. Look at this. You take this, you turn it, and it links up and matches. All of their tile sets, for the most part, are interlocking like that. It's one of the best things that I've ever seen. Now, the cool thing is, look at this. This is a free tool to anyone who wants to use it. Look at that. I'm just clicking on tiles down there and clicking on them up here. They match. I could put one in the center. Look at that. They all match. This is perfectly done. Oh, oh, oh. I came across one that didn't match. But does it? Does it really? Watch this. It matches. It's a free tool set for anyone who wants to build maps, loves building them, playing around with them. You get with Tiamat one download. That means you can export your map that you've taken the time to make painstakingly, and you can export it. Everybody gets one free export. Alternate exports after that first free one, well, they cost you a little bit of money. So I'm going to go ahead and use my export. Hey, it saved map before exporting. Let's hit save. Let's just call this one test. When I hit export, it's going to tell me, hey, you need to purchase more exports or tiles to export this map. Well, you click on go to the store and it tells you how much they are. One map export is $2, 3 is $4, 10 is $10, 25, $20. You can actually download, you can buy the map packs, and what's even cooler is the tiles. They have tile sets that you can purchase and download. And one of the things that I forgot to mention in here, let me close this out. On top of having all these dungeon sets, let's say like my buddy Jason out there, he loves to play sci-fi games. My son even loves playing sci-fi games. We actually can look through here, and I've got to find it. Look at this. What does that look like? That looks like a medical bay. Let's cut this out of here. I'm zoomed in as far as I can go. But take a look at this. This looks like a medical built facility. Look at that. There's another one. It's a med bay. There's a bridge, entry to a bridge. There's, you know, something else. Oh, that's not the same one. There you go. Now here you go. This is another one. It looks like a ship. They've got that futuristic one. They've got all of these futuristic ones. Look at this. Let's click this one here. Let's put it down. Look at those barrels and boxes like the cargo hold of a ship. And yeah, even the lines of the ship itself, it looks like it's the lines of a ship. So they even have futuristic ones in here. So if you like to do sci-fi more than fantasy, let's go back. Let's build a boat. Let's build a ship, excuse me. So let's take all of these out of here. And again, this is Tiamat. Now, if you do a search for it, it's not Tiamat.com. It's actually www.rpgobjects.com. And from there, they have a lot of different things that you can use. And one of them is character building tools. If you want to build your own character, they have those. They have the link to different books that you can use. And all sorts of fun things. I don't think that fit there at all. I apparently don't know how to build a ship, so we're going to try that again. But they have all sorts of fun items that they use. There you go. What do you guys think? I built a pretty hasty ship. And again, this one again is easy to use. You find the tiles you want to use, you link them together, you can make a map pretty quick. They even have dungeon entrances. This right here, that's the entrance to a dungeon or a cave. Here's another one. These are super easy to use. They're super fun to play with, and just build your own, you know, build your own map, build your own dungeon, and play around with it and have fun with it. It's a lot of fun. And again, it's rpgobjects.com. It is absolutely free to use. The only thing is after your initial export, you have to purchase extra exports. But worth it. It's only a couple of bucks to get a nice map that you've made that you can set up and have it looking the way that you want to. And here's a hint, folks, that there is going to be a Tiamat map in our upcoming game, as I have spent the day generating what is to be a fun and exciting map. Now, from the ones that we can generate on to a little less control, we're going to talk about Dungeon. donjon.bin.sh. If you just do a search for donjon, you'll find it. It's Dungeon. I'm starting here because this lets you start with general. You can do a name generator, a fractal world generator, fantasy name generator, generate random requests, NPCs, loot, castles, towns, everything. Fantasy calendar, medieval demographic, fantasy world, random adventure, so forth and so on. And then it gets into the more specifics. Do you want advanced Dungeons and Dragons? If you really love that Thaco, there you go. Here's D20 Fantasy. Here's Micro Light. Here's Pathfinder. Look at this. Power Attack Calculator, random generator, random dungeon generator, encounter generator. They even have a magic shop generator. Magic shop with items from the Ultimate Equipment Guide. That's awesome. Then you have 4th edition. We'll skip right over that. And then you have 5th edition. Spell sheet, a monster list. Look at this. Let's look at the monster list here. Look at that. Everything that you could want right there. And you can actually change how it displays all of that. You can, if you want it by name, so forth and so on. Let's say you want to look at all the tiny objects out there. It'll then take a look and categorize everything by tiny. And then you can delete the tiny and go back to saying, hey, I want everything that's medium. And there's a whole list of medium. And then we got to look at alignment challenge rating. Of course, this is the biggest one. I'm fighting a bunch of or my party is at 7th level, but they seem to be running over everything that comes across them because they're just too powerful or whatever. You want to kick it up a notch. Find them a 9th level thing to fight. And boom, there's a list of all the 9th level, or excuse me, challenge rating 9, not 9th level. Challenge rating 9 creatures that they could take on, complete with alignment, how much XP, and the source that they gave you. And this is what I like. I own every book, I believe, that is out right now for 5th edition because I love it. I love 5th edition, and I am, I approve of their choice in making 5th edition. This doesn't give you everything. It tells you where to find it, though. It's on Monsters Manual. This one's in Volo's Guide to Monsters. So it's not getting into the issue of licensing. Hey, I'm going to have a big issue with licensing because I'm giving away all of this stuff. It doesn't really, you don't really have to worry about all that. What you can see, though, is like the spell sheet. Let's go to the spell sheet and take a look at this. It tells you what the components are, the casting time. And this is a really good reference guide. I need to see all of the bonus action spells that I can cast. Well, there's Magic Stone, Shillelagh, Compelled Duel, so forth and so on. And again, it tells you where to find those. So Magic Stone is found in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And it looks like it's pretty up to date. So the reason we came here, though, is to talk about random dungeon generating. So we're at 5th edition, and let's find a random dungeon generator. So let's go ahead and click on that. You can give it a name of anything you want to. Let's call it Captain Sack's Hideaway. Ooh, I can't spell today. The dungeon is going to have 1 level. It's made for a party of 4 players. The dungeon motif, let's say that it is abandoned. All right. Map style, standard, classic. Do we want pen and paper with crosshatch, graph paper, stonework? This is basically going to change the way that it looks. I am a huge fan of steampunk, so you can see when you change it what it looks like over there. So let's go classic. Looks like that. Wow, that takes me back. Let's go with graph paper. Oh my God, that it's 1992 and I'm in high school playing Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so let's go ahead and change this one. You know what? I like the graph paper. What's the crosshatch? Ooh, that's cool looking. Let's do the crosshatch. Yeah, let's do the crosshatch. I like the way that looks. What's our grid? Is it squares? Is it hexes? Well, again, we're going to use squares because we like squares. The dungeon layout, let's make it, let's take a look at the dagger. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's what it looks like if you do that. Not about a keep. Nice. I like that. But let's go back to the square, and then let's do the dungeon size as medium. Well, it was already set there. Peripheral egress? Yes. And there you go. There's your egress into another spot. Let's say mini. And now we can see you can leave this dungeon off of different routes. But let's go ahead and set that to yes, actually, for one spot. Stairs? No, it's only one floor, so we don't need any stairs. Room layout, scattered or dense. And as you can see when I click on this, it changes the preview over here on the right-hand side. So let's take a look at our room layout as dense, or we can say symmetric so that everything is equally laid out, or we can do complex, or let's go back to scattered. Yeah, that'll work. Scattered, covered, smothered. Anyways, room size, let's go ahead and leave that as medium, but you can take a look and see what large rooms would look like, or huge rooms, or maybe not. So let's go ahead and keep them at medium. Doors are going to be standard, but you can say they're secure or basic. Let's just go with standard. All right, corridors are labyrinthine. As you can see, there's a lot more hallways added with doors that are locked and some that aren't. Remove dead ends. Let's say all. And now you've gotten rid of all the dead ends. All right, so I like the way this looks. Let's go ahead and hit construct. And now it's going to construct this room for me. And as you can see, it's a big place. And what I like is there's a key down here that you can use. The corridor skeletons hang from chains and manacles against the wall. So right here you can see this S right here would be skeletons. And again, like I said, this is a really neat feature that I love and I forgot about it. What does R mean, Cap? We click on it and it tells you right here, it takes you right to it. Earth Maw Trap, DC 15 to find it, DC 20 to disable it, plus 6 to hit against one target, and then 2d10 piercing damage. So it's a trap in the floor. And so forth and so on. And you can click on room number 3. It's got a locked good wooden door, unlocked iron door, trapped and unlocked strong wooden door. There's a trap in here with falling blocks. DC, the trap door gives falling block. DC to find is 15. The DC to disable is 15. Affects all targets within 10 feet square. Save of 17 or take 40/10 damage. So it gives you what each room has. And that I kind of dig. Because let's say you just want to create a random dungeon and you really don't want to take the time to plot out each and every room. But let's say you know that what you want in a few of them. This will help you and give you a guideline on what to put in those rooms. And again, that one is dungeon, DONJON .ben.sh. And again, it's really fun to use. It's a really quick one to use, and you can print that out or save it, export it, what have you. And it tells you here how you want to download that. Do you want to download that one? A player's map option, which I love. I love when they give you a player's map option. So it'll give you all of the same rooms, but all of the numbers are removed. All right, so that is dungeon.ben.sh, and we're going to go ahead and move on to our next one, which is Mythweavers. A lot of you are probably familiar with that. It's www.myth-weavers.com. It's used commonly to create characters for different formats, but they also do have a dungeon generator as well as a cave generator, which we'll go ahead and open that up in a separate tab. Whoop. So let's say here it looks the same as what we just saw with Dungeon, a little less options as far as that goes, but level is 1, meaning it's 1 floor, grid size medium, sparseness moderate, randomness is 40%, dead end removed, you can say 100% of dead ends being removed, or if you want to leave a few. secret doors, and even lets you choose the amount of secret doors by percentage that you want, concealed doors, so forth and so on. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use the default that are there, and we're going to hit generate dungeon, and look at that. And there you go. It generates a dungeon. Now, it does the same thing that we saw. It tells you what's in the room. It says in room number 1, marked right here, there is a door to the west, which leads to 2 from the north. Okay. Yep, door to the west. There is a door north here, and then there's a door 3 here, and then there are monsters in here. There are 3 goblins, and it tells you what treasure you could find in there. 104 platinum coins. Good night. Well, anyway. And again, kind of the same thing. It tells you what's in there: bale of straw, ropes, fuel, so forth and so on. And again, you can once more you can copy this URL and see the results later. So it generates a URL for you to use. I don't know that this one has the option to download like the dungeon did, but still, it's pretty neat. You can use this one while you play with your friends. You can copy this link and generate the dungeon. Now, the neat thing that I like is the cave generator. So we'll close that out and go to the cave generator. It works the same way. The difference is you can actually change the grid size to make it a larger cave or a smaller cave, however you want to. I'm going to go ahead, and this one is a lot less. So let's say show edges, and you can see the edges there. Show edges, you can turn that off. Show room centers. So if you can say from the center of this room, you can actually pinpoint where the center of the room is out. So we can create one just by creating the width and height. So what you say is you want this one to be 500. You want the height to be, let's say 200. You hit generate. Bam. And there it is. Really simple to use, and that's it. It doesn't give you anything fancier than that. It's just there. It's pretty simple. And again, that was www.myth-weavers.com. You can do the /generators to find it. And again, that's the cave and dungeon generator. And you can find it by going to mythweavers.com, and under their site tools, you have several other ones, as well as even a town generator, which you can select the size of the town. Let's say you want it to be a small town with a medium military. You want it kind of in the borderland. The alignment is mostly good, and the agricultural economy. And let's say that it is. Let's just go with megocracy, and we hit generate town, and it tells you the population, the GP limit, the wealth overall. The authority class is a warrior, and it gives you some ideas of the people that are in the town. On to our next one, which is actually from wizards.com. That's right, www.wizards.com/d&d/mapper/launcher.htm. As you can tell here, this one is a lot like the one we saw from Dungeon. The difference is that you can actually set, along with your room size, the start room exits, the dungeon room size, the hallway length, so forth and so on. You can actually set the dungeon level. I want to create this for a set of 6th level part, and I want this I want it to be a sewer theme. DM details on, intro text on, feature text, wandering monsters. Let's turn wandering monsters off. Trap summary on, simple adventure hook. Let's use the number 3. And you can actually, what monster sources do you want to use from this? Now, I'm going to go ahead and just limit this. You're going to see something over here that's going to probably make some of you go, what? So this says core books, and you see DMG, PHB, MM, Dungeon Master's Guide, Player's Handbook, Monsters Manual, but then you're like, but there are other Monsters Manuals, but they haven't released any new Monsters Manuals. That's because these are probably dealing with Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which did have Monster Manual 2, 3, and 4. Let's generate it and find out. So generate our map. Yeah, that's our map right there. And here we go. We look at the details and we can see, no, actually, I take that back. It uses a DC of 35 to break that. Wow, that's pretty incredible. But it's 1 inch thick. The hardness is 5. The HP is 10. The break is DC 13. And as you can tell, a lot of this does carry over, and you can use this again to generate a pretty good map as far as that goes. And it tells you once again the map, and here's the adventure hooks that you can have. And again, it just lays it out for you, and you start at 1 and move on to 2 and 3 and so forth and so on. And again, this one is from wizards.com. And the last one I want to talk about is actually from Guzzis, Gozzys.com. Guzzis has not only a random dungeon map creator, a random cave map creator, but they also have a random wilderness map creator. This is neat. The random dungeon map creator there's a lot less to it, but it's still a lot of fun. So let's look at our map size. Our random room style is going to be medium with a moderate density. Let's make our background black, and let's do a classic. Let's do the room set as ruins. Hit create map, and look at that. You're done. It created a map for you just like that. Let's make another one. Or let's go back. Let's look at this one. Give me just 1 second here. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the wandering line style. So let's make our map size large this time. With our room density being higher, not the highest, maximum room size is going to be 8 by 8. Let's make our background look like that because I have no idea what that looks like. And our tile set look like that. And now let's see, randomness sum, create map. Oh man, look at that. That's pretty nifty. What do you think? But that's the random dungeon map. So let's look at their cave map. Map size, medium. Cave density, moderate. Wall type, standard. Cave floor, let's do sandy. Background, let's do it. Let's leave it black. Entrance is 1. Show the grid, yes. Hit create map. And check it out. It looks a lot like the other one does as far as the articulation, the jagged lines of the wall. But the big thing about it, the difference is the background, having that tile set shown in there. But again, you can make another one like this, and it'll generate a different one for you. But this one, again, is just a lot of fun. And then the last one they have was the random wilderness map. Map size, let's do a regular foliage. Let's do a higher foliage. Density, include the stream, yes. Include ruins, yeah. That sounds cool. Include a path, why not? And then show grid, of course. Let's go ahead and hit create map, and let's see what it generates for us. Look at that. There's your ruins set in there. Your foliage is densely covered. There's a trail. And that's a good random wilderness map with a stream that goes through it. That one just looks like it's a lot of fun to make and create. And again, it's www.gozzys.com. And actually, if you come here to their home, you can see they have a lot of different things. They even have a map gallery of maps that have been created that you can actually download. So if you're not feeling lucky and creating one, you can actually download one of the ones that they have. Here's their castle one that they've got. All right, folks, really should check those out. I'll go ahead and grab the links and give those to you again. But again, it was incarnate.com, Gozzys.com, dungeon.ben.sh, and the Tiamat, which is at rpobjects.com. And then there's Gozzys.com and wizards.com if you do a wizards.com/map, and I'll have to go back to it. But those are map creating tools that will allow you to generate maps. And the good thing about most of these having grid is that you can align them to grid if you're using Roll20, or you can print them out and at a local printing location such as Kinko's or Office Depot or what have you. And you can generate those to be a map that you can actually lay down and play with and have fun. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today, and if you have any questions, you can always feel free to shoot me a message. And until then, we will see you Monday. Now, roar for initiative!